Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Ramzan and the game I'm going to review today is The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. The writer of the game is the investigator Paul Prospero, Carter family, sleepers also known as the spirits, and the climax. The investigator Paul Prospero. Paul Prospero, a paranormal investigator, traveled to Ethan Carter's hometown of Red Creek Valley, Wisconsin in 1973 after receiving a fan letter from a 12-year-old in that year. The main character in The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is Paul Prospero. He has magical talents and works as a detective. He can access the past by touching significant items. This is the Carter family. Prospero discovers the dark secret of the Carter family as his inquiry goes on. Ethan had used witchcraft to unleash a dangerous spirit known as the Sleeper, endangering their lives. Sleepers. As a result of opening the wrong doors and disturbing the people who were sleeping, Ethan attacked his family's minds, took control of them, and forced them to kill him. However, Ethan managed to escape in the end, and in the end, he set fire to the house. The climax. The game's conclusion features an unexpected turn of events. The audience learns that the entire narrative was Ethan's dream or imagination as he was ready to suffocate to death from the toxic smoke of the fire that his mother had started. Due to the fact that his family often urged him to leave his imaginary world, Ethan used the term sleepers to represent his family's feelings or emotions. At that point, he genuinely disturbs the snorers, and his family begins to despise him in his dreams. Concept artist, environment, situations and themes, game flow, game elements, game scenes. Environment. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a first person story driven mystery game that focuses entirely on exploration and discovery. Situations. Being a horror adventure game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter contains various situations and themes that are better suitable for an older audience. These themes and situations include murder and deaths. Theme: conformity versus individualism, fantasy versus reality, child abuse, trauma, facing the truth, an unreliable narrator, fragmented memories, memories and the truth, numerous consciousnesses, subjectivity, and reality. And various truths are just a few of the themes that are discussed. Game flow. The player, investigator Paul Prospero, can experience a flashback to the past after piecing together the puzzle and view the events leading up to the point. To bring the object back and link it to the inspection point, the player must locate it. Following inspection, it provides the player with the location of an object, acting as a clue in the mystery's solution. The player is prompted to examine special items and scenes. First, the player joins a scenario with a mission or target. Game elements. The game still features a series of game components to help the player, even though it is an adventure game that does not hold the player's hand. Traps, inspection, psychometry, game scenes. Game scene. To give the player a sense of accomplishment and to offer more prominent hints about the mystery, certain sequences are activated. Game developer. From UE3 to UE4, the conclusion of comparison, photoscan, Agisoft, Perforce. From UE3 to UE4, the Unreal Engine 3 video game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, was released on September 25, 2014, and it could be played on a PC. The developers of the Astronauts rebuilt the game from scratch after a few years when Unreal Engine 4 entered the market so that it could be played on a PlayStation 4. The developers of the game faced many problems while remaking the game in UE4. The reason for making the game in UE4 was to make users able to play it on PS4. Some of the problems are listed below. Thick fog and the problematic opening scene. Thick fog. The fog in the game appeared so thick with the attempt, but later on the problem was solved by changing the code. Dramatic opening scene. When the developers thought that nearly two-thirds of the game is done, A horrific bug comes up which makes the player movement in the opening scene restricted. A short investigation using the stat rendering command showed us the primitive counts were quite high, in the 4000 to 6000 region. A quick look around using the rendering command did not turn up any obvious hotspots, so I took to the VIS command. The conclusion of comparison. The sole difference between the two versions of the game is that the PS4 compatibility of the Redux version. Both versions of the game have the same plot and nearly identical gameplay elements. The quality and attractiveness of the graphics in the original edition are noticeably superior to those in the Redux version, as can be seen in the aforementioned images. The speed of the game in the Redux edition is another aspect that we cannot ignore. The game's components move to the machine faster in the Redux version. Photoscan Agisoft. Agisoft Metashape is a standalone piece of software that processes digital photographs using photogrammetry and creates 3D spatial data for use in GIS applications, the documenting of cultural assets, the creation of visual effects, and the indirect measurements of objects of various scales. In the photogrammetry process, an object is photographed from various angles, scanned, and then transformed into animated 3D images. Perforce. Users connect to a shared file repository through Perforce, an enterprise version management system. The file repository and the workstations of individual users are connected using Perforce apps. Through Perforce, the game's developer were able to exchange their codes. Level designer. Levels of the game, sound of the game. Levels of the game. The Forest of Traps, Railway Murder, Spaceman, The Witch's Forest, Graveyard Murder, Murder in the Mines, Mine Gate Maze, Murder at the Dam, The Vendor Groove House. The Forest of Traps. The protagonist, the investigator, finds himself in a jungle full of traps when he first arrives. These traps are the hints the player must find in order to determine the location of the paper required to pass the first level. Railway murder. The player ultimately finds a train covered with blood spots by following the railroad track through a wooden bridge. This is where the second level begins. This is the primary clue in this level that will aid in identifying the game's first murder. Spaceman. A new path will become apparent upon closer examination, leading the player to a series of panels. The player must solve a puzzle, and once they do, another gateway will open. Graveyard murder. The trail goes to a chapel and a small graveyard through the witch's forest. There are several mausoleums in the cemetery, and one of them is where the player discovers the game's second dead body, Chad's dead body. The player must solve the 5-step problem in a specific order to solve the mystery. Murder in the mines. Following a dirt trail along a river that is covered in boulders, the investigator discovered a tunnel door mine. The investigator discovers Missy's dead body upon entering the mine and using the elevator to descend. Third murder. Mine Gate Maze. There is a passage leading to a maze at the mine's exit. An achievement must be found by 4 dead bodies zombies for the player to unlock it. The player will find a piece of paper to read at the maze entrance after inspecting the dead bodies. Murder at the dam. The investigator found himself at the base of a dam after leaving the mines. A different event. The investigation into Dale's death gets started when you enter the residence. Players will learn through investigation that it was a suicide rather than a murder. The Vendor Groove House. The game's last level is a burned out house at the end of the lakeside route. Ethan's death is the final case that occurs here. In comparison to earlier investigations, it contains a riddle that is quite easy to solve. When the mission is finished, The player will be informed of the entire incident, and the results of the investigations will show that Ethan died at the same residence. Sound of the game is done by Michael Sinterniklaas, Dale Carter, Ashley Lawrence, Missy Carter, Kyle Harrington, Travis Carter, Steve Hirsch, Edwin Carter, Marty Allen, Paul Prospero, Jake Amigo, Ethan Carter. Level designer. The astronauts were the group that first created the Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Independent Polish video game creators, the astronauts. Following are the names with who founded it in October 2012. Sound of the game. On February 6, 2013, the first teaser was broadcast on the official IGN YouTube channel. On June 5, 2014, the game's first gameplay trailer was also made available on the official IGN YouTube account. Using Unreal Engine 3, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was first made available on PC on September 25, 2014. Later, it was converted to use Unreal Engine 4 for the PlayStation 4 release. Adrian Chemillars, the creator of the game, verified that Sony is prepared and excited about doing it when he spoke with them about doing it already. Microsoft, however, was initially a little quiet, but later he revealed that they had a major wake-up call on it, and they confirmed it as well. 60,000 copies were sold by the corporation in the first month. 60,000 seems insignificant when you realize that Steam has over 100 million active accounts. It indicates that despite the positive reviews and approximately 1.5 thousand players giving us a recommended rating on Steam, only 0.0006% of users purchased the game. However, if you look closely, you'll discover that 60,000 copies in a single month is actually quite a respectable number. It was a brand new game from a fresh firm in an unheard of genre. Thank you.